Welcome back to Shane's Main Shop. Today, I'm going to show you how to replace a cracked primer button on a Homelite weed whacker. Now this is pretty similar to a lot of different small engines, as far as how they go on. So you might be able to use this video for several others as well. Key thing to remember, in this particular case, the gas tank is below this, so there's really no fear of fuel leaking out when you remove this. But if you have like a lawnmower, sometimes the tank's up higher than the primer button, so there is a chance of fuel leaking out. Not always, but there's a chance of it, so just be aware of that. So it might be a good idea to drain out your fuel tank before you do this repair. In this case, we're not going to worry about it because our tank is way down here underneath. And you can see, hopefully, I'll try and zoom in, but it's obviously discolored because here's a new one here. They're nice and clear, and I got a pack of 5 here. I'll put a link to these too. Now, make sure you do some measurements and get the right one for your model, because there are several different sizes of these these primer buttons. It's yellow, it's old, and it's kind of like dry rotted. And when you push it now, you can see, first of all, it won't suck the fuel up because there's a hole in it. And when it does suck some up, it's coming out. It's all wet now because the whole top of this is all cracked and broken. So this will be a relatively easy repair. Probably just a good idea to get a rag, clean this area up here. Really don't want to get any dirt down inside any of the carburetor, anything like that. Clean that up quite a bit. Make sure there's nothing that's going to easily fall down in there. All right, and so what we're going to do in this particular case is we're going to remove these 2 screws. It's good if you have a magnetic screwdriver too. That does help. All right, so now this plate's going to come off. You can probably be able to lift this whole thing up with this, but you got to be careful because you really don't need to remove the whole thing. You're just trying to remove the plate and the plunger button. There we go. So in this case, those bolts hold this whole unit down. So try to keep that in place. And then here is our old one right here. Let's see if I can get that. You can see it is definitely cracked. Piece of my napkin that I was cleaning up with stuck in there. Big hole in it. And I will gently take a piece of this because that looks like some residue and stuff. I'm just gonna dab that carefully. But be careful because you don't want a piece of your rag to plug up any of those ports. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you have your plate here off and your primer accessible. You're just going to hold the plate and you're just going to be able to push it right through, just like that. Then what you want to do is clean your plate up. Make sure there's no, because you want this to seal back down, and the plunger itself actually creates the seal. So you can see on this back side there's some residue buildup, and I'm just going to clean that up best I can. That looks pretty good. And you're going to take your new plunger button and slide it back through just like the other one was, just like that. Then you're going to go ahead and return this back onto the carburetor, and make sure you pay attention to which way it came off, because you want to make sure you put it back on the same way. Some of them are reversible, but others are not. Let's set that down there like that. We got our screw holes lined up, you can see. Up that screw down in, that one down in, and then we're just gonna hold on to this, tighten this all back up. Now I'm just gonna bring that one down snug. I don't want to crank one down without getting the other one down in the position, or at least somewhat snug, so it tightens up around that gasket plunger button the same. All right, so now we got that one down. Make sure everything looks good, all in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and just going to turn them each a little bit at a time until it's tight, because it's a new, so the back side of that one now is much thicker than this one, so it's new, so it's going to squat that down slowly. So I'm just going to do a little at a time, both sides. And you want to tighten it, but you don't want to crank down on it too much. Just good and snug. That's in place. There is fuel in this, so I should be able to get fuel up in here. And there we go. So now we have a working primer button, and that's what we want. So if your primer button is starting to look like this, it's just a matter of time before it cracks, just like this one did. I got it out this year, it was working fine, and then the last time I went to do it, it just cracked. These are relatively inexpensive. I think this pack of 5 was like maybe $6 or something. I'll put a link to them in the description. I might just put a generic link to primer buttons, because you've got to get your engine information to make sure you get the right button for your carburetor setup for whatever you're doing this for. But the replacement process is relatively the same, whether it's a weed whacker, lawnmower, or what have you. So hope this helps you out. Thanks for swinging by Shane's Main Shop. Please like, subscribe, comment, come back often for more videos. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.